Hello, my name is Scarlett Hayler King and I have recently been diagnosed with depression, anxiety and stress. I got diagnosed a month ago and I've started some antidepressant tablets. I think they've helped some. I'm hoping they'll keep helping. I definitely feel lighter than I did a month ago, but I've also had some pretty heavy downfalls at the same time. I've wanted to hurt myself in some way. Not quite anything outright bad, but just, I guess, something to get rid of the emotional hurt. But that was why I finally decided I needed to go to the doctor and find out if there was something actually wrong with me. I want to get better. I want to feel like how I used to feel. You know, I want to be able to enjoy things again. I want to stop crying every time something upsets me. I don't know. I find it very difficult to talk about these things. Every time I do, I end up crying. Yeah.
So I recorded that video a couple of weeks ago and I just sort of wanted to do an update to explain how things were, how things currently are. So I had about a month signed off work because of my mental health. It was decided by my doctor. And then I had reduced hours for 2 weeks before I returned to work. And I think one of the biggest things I found when going back to work, well, first off, the time off was really good. I started to feel a bit better. I started to feel more like myself again. I knew I wasn't still in the right place, if that makes sense. I was very much just trying to get out of the dark hole that I was in. I spent a lot of time working on crafting. I made a mosaic for LARP because I just needed something I could invest all my time into without any real pressure, without any real stress, just something really meticulous that I could work on. So doing the mosaic was a really good use of my time. It just made me feel a lot better. I could do work outside in the garden, which meant I was at least going outside and getting some vitamin D, even if I wasn't sort of walking anywhere or going anywhere in particular. You know, I could be outside and get fresh air, but not have the pressure of dealing with people and the public, which, considering how I was or still am, I'm still not very comfortable with going out, especially on my own at the moment. When I returned to work, my supervisor was lovely. He was very, very good and kind, and everyone was very understanding in my team. However, the organisation was less than stellar in how they dealt with it. One of the issues being, if someone had broken their toe at work and was off for a month with a broken toe, when they returned, the sort of attitude would be everyone would have steel toe cap boots, there would be posters everywhere to say don't do this because you'll get a broken toe, just all kinds of things to sort of make sure health and safety wasn't an issue. When I came back from being off because of my mental health issues, due to the environment I was in, that didn't happen. In fact, there wasn't really anything, and very, very quickly, despite me getting better from being off and sort of being at a, in a slightly better place sort of mentally, I very, very quickly declined again, because of being back in this environment and thinking, wow, nothing's changed, nothing's going to change, oh god, I'm still stuck here, the only way things are going to change is if I get out. And that obviously didn't help my stress or anxiety or my depression. I ended up having a couple of anxiety attacks at work through various reasons, which put really bad ones, which put me obviously in a even worse mental state. Then my car, as I was calling it to my Facebook friends, the car saga, my car basically broke down and I took it to a garage, and it should have been an easy job. It should have been taken a day to fix, and I ended up not having my car for a month. Every deadline they gave me to say, oh, it's going to be fixed this day, it's going to be fixed that day, did not happen. So that was putting me under more stress and more pressure. I have some wonderful friends who drove me to and from work, but it meant that I also I needed people to drive me to my therapy appointment, all sorts of things like that. It just, any kind of freedom I had, which I've always felt when I've been able to drive, I've been able to drive since I was 17, any freedom that gave me, that was taken away from me for a month. And that was so upsetting and so stressful, and considering I was already in a bad place, none of that helped at all. I went to Empire LARP, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. There were some incidents. Basically, it's hard to describe. I have an issue with, I suppose the only sort of right word is triggering. I still don't really know the best use of that word, but I tend to have issues where if I'm in a very low place, I get triggered by romantic interaction, seeing people doing romantic interaction. It's always something that I've been very aware of. I find sometimes I'll be walking down the street, and if I see people holding hands or kissing, I get very sort of tense and anxious. When it's Valentine's Day, I freak out. I have to not be at the supermarket. I have to not be at a place to eat where they're saying Valentine's Day special or meals for two or something. It just puts me in a really depressive state. I end up getting really upset. I end up having to go somewhere and cry. For my birthday last year, I ended up just, I had a lovely time on my birthday, but I wasn't able to celebrate it with anyone. So then when I got home, I just ended up crying because I was on my own and I saw all these people who were together and stuff. And at the moment in Empire LARP, in our group, in the group I'm in, there's a lot of relationship stuff playing out, and it kept affecting me on an out of character level, where I had to keep running away and crying whenever it happened. And it is literally just a sudden overcoming feeling of I just want to freak out. I just want to burst into tears. And that's not fair on my friends, that's not fair on the people I'm role-playing with, so I would always try and take myself out of the situation, go to the bathroom, go to the tent or something, and cry for 5 minutes until I was able to pull myself together, and then go back to role playing. And the thing that frustrates me and upsets me is I love LARPing, I love playing my character, I love being in my group of people, and I don't want to stop them from having fun. And I actually, when it's not affecting me emotionally, I actually really like the relationship part of roleplay. I think that's really good and really fun and very healthy, actually. So that's all sort of accumulated, you know, it highlighted my loneliness and again my whole depression side of things. So I ended up getting in a really bad headspace. Just everything kept piling on and on and on, and in the end I started having some very, very bad thoughts. I'm just lucky I have friends who love me and support me and make sure I don't do anything bad. I ended up having a very, very long conversation with my parents and basically explained just how bad it had gotten. I was put in a weird place by my therapist. I love my therapist, she's lovely. But I was basically asked, what do you want to do next? And I don't know. I've never had this before. I've never been in this situation where I've needed a therapist before. So to be asked, what do you want to do next? I don't know. I don't know what the options are. I don't know what's good for me. I don't know what's best for me to do. So when she suggested that, you know, I talked about my whole issue with the relationship thing and that it was affecting me. She said I should potentially be referred to counselling, which I'm all for, fine. But with the way the NHS is at the moment, is you have to be referred and they have to decide whether you're right to have counselling or not. And that got me really worried because she said, oh, you had to set goals. You have to set goals to see if you're appropriate for counselling. And I'm thinking, well, what sort of goals do I want? What sort of goals do I need? You know, if you think I need counselling, but I've got to sort of prove myself worth having counselling, that doesn't seem right. So that put me under a whole load of extra pressure because it felt like all of a sudden I was getting to a point where the pills weren't working because they put me in I was in such a bad headspace. You know, I was having anxiety attacks all the time. I was doing or planning on doing things to myself, and sort of my only medical lifeline, which is my therapist, was essentially saying, oh, you might not be able to get counselling. And that was really scary because that suddenly felt like, oh God, I might, you know, I'm trying to seek out help and I might not be sick enough to get help. So what would I do? So that put me in a really, really tough spot. But yeah, so I went and spoke to my parents about the whole situation. My friends were with me for support. You know, I love them to pieces. They're so good. And it was terrifying explaining to my parents just how bad things had gotten, just how bad I was, just how sick I was. You know, the worst feeling is feeling like you're disappointed them, or that for some reason they might feel that they've not done enough. I didn't want them to feel that. This feeling that I had not done enough to try and fix myself, and that somehow I had failed to be at the state I was. That's kind of what it felt like, and it felt like explaining it to my parents just how bad it had gotten was like actually admitting it. It felt like the whole time they weren't aware. it wasn't as bad as it seemed, or it was like it wasn't real. It was like it was something I had to deal with by myself, and by not admitting it, it didn't make it sort of universal. I don't really know how to describe it apart from that. But I did finally admit it. There were a lot of tears and a lot of crying. But my parents were amazing, really loving, really supportive. I'm so thankful for them. I love them to pieces. They basically said to me, your health is more important than a job you're miserable in. Your health is more important than anything else. If the environment you're currently in is making you so miserable, you need to leave. And we'll help with money, we'll work it out, we'll help you with whatever you need. Go out of there, find an environment, find a job you want to work in, and we'll go from there. So that was a big relief. Such a big relief, because one of the biggest things was I've been applying for jobs and I've had interviews, which is great, but it felt like every rejection I got was another feeling of, oh god, I'm still stuck here. I'm still stuck in this environment, which is going to essentially one day kill me. And that was really scary. As of, well, almost 2 weeks now, I handed in my notice at work. And that put me in a weird place. So, like, a good place, but weird. While I was at work, while I was at work, I felt better, lighter. You know, that finally a light at the end of the tunnel. I can finally escape from this place that is making me so miserable. And yet when I would come home, I would be in this headspace of, oh god, I've got to apply for as many jobs as possible. In a month's time, I am not going to have a job. I'm not going to have any money. You know, my parents have said that they'll support me, but still, I don't want to have to rely on them entirely. What am I going to do? How am I going to pay for my house? How am I going to pay for my cat? And I basically would have these anxiety spirals. So in the daytime, I would feel weirdly better than I'd done in a long time. And then the evening, I would just panic and freak. At the advice of one of my friends, I went to the GP again. And they said that I should go on a higher dosage of my pills, which I've done. I've started that this week. They've also said that because of my current state, they would rather that I am not at work, at least not while I'm on, at least while I'm not trying out the higher dose. So this week I am off. That's why I'm making this video. And funnily enough, I finally got a letter through to say that I've been accepted for counselling, which I'm a bit nervous by, but also quite happy, because I was so worried that that wasn't going to pass, that I wasn't going to seem sick enough. And I think that's the thing, is one of the sort of prevailing feelings is thinking, oh, maybe I'm not sick enough. You know, I've got friends who need it more, or there are people out there who are worse off than me, first world problems, etc., etc. And having this support and having like professionals turning around and saying, no, you need this, or no, you need time off, or no, makes me feel like my feelings are actually valid, like my sickness is valid. You know, it's something I still need to convince myself of sometimes. So yeah. So the new pills I'm a little bit dizzy with in the mornings when I first take them. I sort of have a moment of, ooh. So far, I admit I'm actually feeling right now a little bit better. Sort of in the evenings I have moments of melancholy. I want to leave the house, but at the same time bringing myself to do that is really difficult. I still feel really anxious about being around people, being around strangers. Just, I don't know, I feel I don't know how to describe it. I really don't, that's the problem. It's just this feeling, and I hate that it's a feeling I can't describe. So, sorry, this has been a bit of a long rant. Where does this go now? Well, I've got a lot of videos half edited, filmed, etc. for my second channel, Watch That King, which I'll put a link up somewhere. I want to put more videos up there, more documentaries. A lot of the videos I've been wanting to make, I've basically just lost the will to work on. I've just been too stressed and too overwhelmed, and it's just not helped. But yeah, I'd really like to get some videos that I've started and filmed to get done up there. I've got some ideas for some future videos I'd like to try and do, but I'm not going to put any time limit on them. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to get them done for any particular time. I just want to work on them. Obviously, when I'm not in work, I'll actually have time and days to be able to work on stuff, so I'm actually, in a weird way, quite excited about the prospect of I can actually sit and work on something instead of having to do it in the evenings all the time when I'm already exhausted from work. I would like to revamp this channel a bit more, potentially do some vlogging, maybe, I don't know. I want to do more casual film reviews. I want to talk more about films I really like. I really would like to talk about films that I grew up with, that really mean a lot to me, that have affected me as I've grown up. I've always found a lot of film channels on YouTube tend to talk about very modern films. Yeah, bits and bobs. So there's this channel and my second channel, and I'd like to just get them moving again. But I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. That's the main thing. I want it to be I want it to be fun. I want it to be something I want to do. So this was the first big update of my life. I might do another one later. We'll see when there's another big update, or I might just do a casual thing. I don't know. I just don't know. So thank you if you've managed to sit through all of this. I've tried to be really honest. I've tried to explain things. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So until next time, thanks. Bye.